Today we're talking about teriyaki sauce. This is something I really enjoy. I loved it when I was a little kid and I would see the teriyaki sauce in the shopping cart because it meant we were having steak marinated in the teriyaki with a packet of that dry onion soup mix. There was nothing better. And I continued to buy it in the bottle here in the grocery store until the first time Jules and I went to Japan, probably 15 years ago. And in Japan, we stayed in a small family-run guest house. They made their own teriyaki sauce, completely blew my mind. And every time that we've gone back since, I've explored it a little further and I've realized that every family has their own mixture. You don't buy it in the grocery store like we do. And it's nothing like what we buy here. So, at its core, it is soy sauce, sake, and mirin. That's the core of the recipe, and most families do it in a 1 to 1 to 1, so equal amounts of each of those three things. And that's it. There is a huge variation, though, in this based on which brand of soy sauce they use. I'm going to use Tamari, which is a Japanese naturally brewed soy sauce. Completely different flavor than Chinese soy sauce, and a completely different flavor from most supermarket soy sauces. And we'll talk about those later in the video. So, 1 part Tamari. Next up is sake. Doesn't have to be the most expensive drinking sake. Just a good drinking sake works. Again, equal amount. A little bit left over for later. And mirin. And again, mirin is one of these things that we'll talk about later in the video as well. Again, equal parts mirin. Now, at this point, that's pretty much it. Some families that we've stayed with, that's all they did. That's all they mixed together. Now, depending on which mirin you're using, you may need to add some sweetener. And I know with this one, I need to add about 2 tablespoons of sweetener. And the thing is, as you're cooking and you're using ingredients, you should taste each ingredient as you add it to determine your seasoning, because sometimes it can get way too sweet if you just sort of add sugar. I've seen recipes where it's these 3 ingredients, a cup of each, and then a cup of sugar. And it was just too sweet for my taste. If you like it that sweet, go right ahead. So I'm just gonna whack on the heat. And the idea here is that you just wanna gently bring this up to temperature until the sugar is dissolved. Right, give it a little stir, and that's it. Soon enough, we will have some of the best homemade teriyaki sauce you will ever have. Now, I see you looking at the ginger and the garlic. I see you looking at it. I don't add it into mine. I don't put these in, and here's why. I've learned that the base sauce gets used differently depending on what you're cooking or how you're cooking it. So if you're cooking fish, if you're cooking beef, if you're cooking chicken, they all get a slightly different preparation even though they're all teriyaki based. And so some would get more ginger and less garlic, some would get more garlic and less ginger, some would get equal amounts. If you put that into your sauce at this point, you're locked in. You've got a base amount. You can't take any away if you want to take it away. If you make your base sauce without those, when you decide what you're cooking, you can add those in à la minute when you need them. And by doing it this way, it gives you the freedom in the kitchen later to make each dish the way you want it. So I can feel it's still a little gritty. The sugar hasn't dissolved yet. Let's talk about ingredients. So I used Tamari. This is a naturally brewed soy product from Japan, and it is made from water, soybeans, and yeast. Naturally brewed, and in fact there's still alcohol in this one. Some of the ones that you buy, and I'm not going to disparage any of these because they all have a flavor profile, and if you like the flavor profile of any of these, that's what you should use in your sauce. The beauty of making it at home is you can tailor it to whatever you want. So these two are both naturally brewed soy sauce. This one is naturally brewed tamari, but it's a little more mainstream, and they've removed the alcohol. Still a really good flavor. This is a naturally brewed Chinese soy sauce, and the difference between Japanese and Chinese is the Chinese is usually the #1 ingredient is wheat. They use more wheat than soy. Gives a slightly different flavor profile, a different salt level. Still perfectly acceptable. If you like that flavor, I like that flavor on a lot of things myself. In this sauce, not so much. Then we get to this. It's called soy sauce. But there's absolutely nothing natural in this soy sauce. You look at the ingredients, and it's blended from hydrolyzed soy and wheat protein, water, sugar, salt, caramel color, sulfites, cornstarch, and sodium benzoate. So they've put together a dark flavored water that sort of tastes like soy sauce. It's not. But again, if that's the flavor you like, then use it. It's not for me. Mirin, where we live here in Toronto, I've found mirin. I know where I can buy real mirin. I can't afford it. Straight up, I can't afford it. So I like this one. It's called Aji mirin or Aji mirin. And the Aji modifier means that it's mirin flavored. So again, this is based on mirin, but they've added stuff to make it cheaper, make it faster, make it more affordable for everybody. This is the closest one that I've found to real mirin, and it still has alcohol in it. These two are pretty far from mirin. This one is Koteri mirin, and this one is called Mirin Sweet Cooking Seasoning. And both of these, the #1 ingredient is corn syrup, which is fine if you like the flavor. But they are so unbelievably sweet that you might not have to add sugar. Just be aware of what you're buying when you're buying it. Read the labels, know what you're doing before you get to the recipe. So, I'd say we're there. Now I don't want to boil this. I don't want to simmer it. I don't want to reduce it. I just want to dissolve the sugar. And part of the reason is all three of these contain alcohol, and I want to retain as much of that alcohol in the sauce so that when we get to the cooking stage, either steak or chicken or fish or whatever it is, that alcohol is there to release flavor compounds from the meat. Not only from the meat, but from the sauce itself. If you cook it all off, it's not there as a flavor enhancer later. But when you do cook it in the pan with whatever you're making, most of that alcohol will be driven off, and you're not going to get drunk from it. It's not going to affect your children. Everything will be fine. Now, at this point, if you had added garlic or ginger, you would strain it out before pouring it into the bottle. You want to remove that, not store it inside the sauce. And let's see if I can pour this in without spilling everywhere. Oh yeah, sweet, salty, amazing. So leave a comment down below and tell me how you make your teriyaki sauce. Maybe your family's Japanese, maybe you've got a special ingredient that you use. Because one of the beauty things about this is that you can change that flavor profile to meet your needs. And I would really encourage you to make changes, figure it out, taste all of the ingredients, and see what you like. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.